We all know James Ashes as Marshal Matt Dillon from Gunsmoke, but even though he was known for being professional and friendly, he didn't get along with one co-star on set. When their different ways of working and interacting with each other became clear, things started to get tense, which made the usually fun group a little less fun. Who was this cast member and what made Ashes want to have them replaced? Gunsmoke is known for being the longest-running Western in Hollywood. Stay tuned as we talk about this surprising breakup and what it meant for one of the most popular TV shows of all time. Gunsmoke ran for an amazing 20 years, from 1955 to 1975, during a time when Westerns were all the rage on TV. Even though the genre lost steam later on, Gunsmoke stayed on top and became a true classic that everyone loved. The show had an exciting plot and interesting characters, which made it very popular with viewers. Gunsmoke changed with the times and became a big hit. Even as people's tastes changed to other types of music, families looked forward to gathering every week to see Marshal Matt Dillon dole out justice, making it a must-see show in TV history. It began as a radio show and then moved to TV, changing its format to fit what people wanted. It started as a 30-minute black and white show and later became an hour-long show. Eventually, it even went to full color, which really made it look better. Staying current and intriguing, Gunsmoke became a classic and is now one of the longest-running scripted dramas out there. Gunsmoke started as a groundbreaking radio show from 1952 to 1961, which led to a successful TV version. The radio show was praised for its realistic portrayal of the Wild West and gripping stories, even after it moved to TV in 1955. The radio show went on for another 6 years, solidifying its position as an entertainment pioneer. It paved the way for the TV version. Making sure they both had the same vibe at first, John Wayne turned. The famous actor was asked to play Marshal Matt Dillon, but he turned it down because of his busy filming schedule. Even though he turned down the part, Wayne still supported the show and recorded a promotional intro for the pilot, which gave Gunsmoke some serious star power. In the end, James Arness filled in and really made the character his own, leaving a lasting mark. Before he started his acting career, James Arness served in He was in the U.S. military in WII as part of the 3rd Infantry Division and took part in the Allied invasion of Anzio, Italy. He was 6 feet 7 inches tall and perfect for playing a variety of roles. His time in the military helped him understand how hard life can be. The studio and writers were looking for someone who could handle a lot, and he definitely did. Throughout Gunsmoke, his character Marshal faced many challenges, including shootouts, physical attacks, stabbings, and even At one point, this role was only meant for James Arness, and Amy Stock, who worked with him on 4 Gunsmoke movies, didn't have to change much to play the part. She remembered that the first time she met him, he was wearing the Dillon hat coat and tennis shoes and was sitting in his chair when the director said, "We're ready for action." He then took off his tennis shoes and put on his cowboy boots. In an instant, he jumped on his horse and changed into Matt Dillon. She said that he was the perfect choice for the part. When Amanda Blake got her part as Miss Kitty on the Western TV show Gunsmoke, she was in her mid-20s and thrilled. She worked hard to get the part and felt lucky to share the screen with James Arness, who played Marshal. Fans loved Amanda's portrayal of Miss Kitty, the proprietor of the local saloon in Dodge City. Her look really stood out when the show went from black and white to color in its 1966 season, which was about halfway through its run. Gunsmoke started airing in 1955 and ran until 1975 for a total of 20 seasons. James Arness stayed with the show for all 20 seasons as Matt Dillon, and Amanda Blake quit her role as Miss Kitty during the 19th season. The writers didn't go into much detail about Matt and Miss Kitty's relationship, but it was clear that they had a deeper connection. During his acting career, Arnold dealt with injuries he got in the war on the set of Gunsmoke. To make things easier for him, the action scenes were filmed early in the morning before his knees and feet hurt too much. Even with these problems, Arnold was committed to his role and showed resilience like his character. As the show ran for 20 seasons, Arnold's injuries got worse because he had severe arthritis. Even though his scenes had to be carefully planned so he could get enough rest, he still had a strong presence on screen, which showed how dedicated and professional he was. William Conrad did the voice of Matt Dillon on the radio, but the producers didn't think he would be a good fit for the TV version. James Arness, on the other hand, was a better fit for the heroic Marshal, and Conrad went on to have a successful career in both film and TV in the second to last season. As Harv Daly, Gary Bai played a memorable part on the show. He was also the last character to die on Gunsmoke, which was a big event in the show's history. Miss Kitty Russell had a different vibe as a madam in the radio version, but on TV they had to tone it down because of stricter rules, so she was shown as a respected business owner of the Long Branch Saloon instead. This made her more relatable and helped the show connect better with viewers. The first scene. The show started with Matt Dillon in a gunfight, which set the tone for the rest of the episodes. As anti-violence movements grew in the 1970s, networks pushed for a kinder approach, so Gunsmoke changed its opening sequence to fit in with the times while still staying true to the show's themes. In 1967, CBS wanted to cancel Gunsmoke to make room for new shows, but fans and executives pushed back, and Gilligan's Island was canceled instead. The show was then moved to Monday nights. Gunsmoke had a total of 635 episodes over 20 seasons, making it the most successful primetime scripted show of all time. It held that record for many years until The Simpsons beat it in 2018. Despite this, Gunsmoke is still seen as one of the greatest achievements of television. James Arness was known for being a laid-back co-star, but Amanda Blake, who played Miss Kitty Russell, had reports that personal problems and Blake was a fan favorite and a key character for 19 seasons, but she and Arness didn't get along very well, and he even wished she would leave the show. Despite their problems, Gunsmoke became a beloved classic. Since both characters were so likable, it was easy for viewers to imagine a romance developing between them. But the chemistry between them wasn't just fan speculation. Miss Kitty often wore stylish clothes and poured drinks for wild cowboys who sometimes she gave them too much attention and was always there to listen and give advice about their cowboy tales. This wasn't how a Sunday school teacher in 1955 or a proper lady was supposed to act in the Wild West. Miss Kitty even had a shotgun hidden behind her bar. She was a daring pioneer woman who was much more interesting than most. She was in charge of hiring and firing her waitstaff. The girls she chose were younger and a bit braver than she was. The cowboys they worked with, they were tough, rough, and a little wild, looking for more than just drinks and some banter after coming back from the cattle trails. Kitty and Matt clearly had a strong bond, but they never showed any affection in public. This was because the show's writers and producers wanted chemistry between the characters over the top displays of love and emotion. Arnold played a tough police officer. He was a great shot and could ride a big horse, which made him an effective peacekeeper, but maybe not the best husband. If Matt and Miss Kitty were so in love, why didn't they get married after 20 years together? Was Matt embarrassed by Kitty because she was outspoken and could hold her own when drinking and shooting with the toughest men? Or maybe Dillon just wanted a wife who would play a more traditional, home-centered role. In his autobiography, James Arness wrote about why Kitty and Matt's relationship in Gunsmoke never really took off, saying that fans often wondered why Matt Dillon and Kitty didn't end up together. He said that over the years, fans have often asked about my character Matt Dillon's relationship with Kitty and why it seemed to stop just short of romance. Amanda Blake was very protective of her character. Arness explained that the producers, not the actors, decided the direction of their relationship. He said that going any further could make things more complicated and might even hurt the show's appeal, so he suggested that keeping the relationship a little mysterious might be best. Actually be more interesting for viewers, even if they didn't see it that way, he said, adding that our relationship was played down because they thought it would be more exciting to let viewers fill in the blanks. The bond between Arness and Amanda Blake as performers while off-screen during the series was still clear. Russell was cast as Amanda Blake, and Arness praised her as an example of the great casting that helped the show succeed. Blake was also called a great actress and friend. The reason given was that a police officer could have enemies and Kitty could be in danger if people knew she was dating Matt Dillon. What was the point of their relationship? Jim Burns, who wrote 34 of the best episodes of the show, remembers that they kept it quiet. After the fade out, he said, there was an unspoken agreement that once the Long Branch closed and Matt Dillon put up the "closed for the night" sign, he'd go over to the Long Branch and go upstairs, but we never went into that. They flirted, teased, hugged, and walked away with their arms around each other, but they never kissed. James Arness was sure that the show's creators purposely kept Matt and Kitty's relationship unclear so as not to change the show's main character or the people too much. This strategy seemed to work because they got a lot of fan mail asking for more romantic progress between the two. The producers wanted to keep viewers interested. He thought this method worked really well. The Gunsmoke writers didn't really want Matt and Kitty to get married, but they knew there would be some problems and temptations along the way. In the 5th season episode Kitty's Outlaw, an old troublemaker from Kitty's past named Ansley tests her loyalty to Matt. In the 8th season episode Beyond the Shadows, Claude Enns comes in for Kitty when Matt is busy during the season. In Cotter's Girl, Matt tries to help an orphan named Married Harley who develops a huge crush on him. By the 12th season, Sarah, played by Anne Francis, comes back into the picture as a former love of Matt's. She's now running an away station for outlaws and wants to win him back. Finally, in the 15th season, Kitty has had enough of seeing Matt get shot 11 times. She decides to sell the Long Branch, move to a different town, and start a new business with Beverly Garland. This changes the relationship between Matt and Kitty. Miss Michael Learned, who is famous for her role on The Waltons, played Matt's love interest in a storyline where he loses his memory. Their relationship grows and ends with a kiss, which is unusual for Matt. But when he remembers, he goes back to Miss Kitty. Interestingly, this storyline was revisited 17 years later in a TV movie where Miss Learned's character and Matt have a child together who is kidnapped. Matt, with the help of another character, goes on a search for his child in a... Surprisingly, the other character wants to marry Miss Lane's character, which reflects the romantic tension between Matt and Kitty earlier in the show. In one of the later seasons, Miss Kitty meets a man who gets hurt while protecting her during a stagecoach robbery. This man proposes to her, which leads to an emotional conversation with Matt. Kitty tells him how she feels about him and how long they've been together. She wonders if their relationship could grow into something more, but in the end, she sees... Because of their situation, Matt acknowledges his own feelings but makes the decision for Kitty instead. That season was Amanda Blake's last appearance as Miss Kitty. She was married and living in Arizona, which made the regular travel harder for her, and she often had problems with producer John Mantley over Blake's costumes. Miss Kitty was supposed to always look elegant, but Mantley hadn't given Blake any money for new clothes in years. She insisted on getting new clothes before moving forward, but Mantley turned her down. He would later say, "That was the biggest mistake I ever made." The next 19 years were quite amazing because they led to the creation of one of the most beloved Western TV shows of all time. Amanda Blake once said that being on the Gunsmoke set felt like being with family. After her first divorce in 1956, she often spent time on set, even on her days off, because it made her feel like she belonged, even though she didn't appear in. Between 1955 and 1974, Blake was in a lot of movies and made a lot of guest appearances on TV shows like Alfred Hitchcock Presents, The Red Skelton Show, The Dean Martin Comedy Roast, Tattletales, Match Game, and The Love Boat. In 1964, she married her second husband, Jason Seor Day, but they divorced soon after. In 1967, she married her third husband, Frank Gilbert, and they were together until 1982. Amanda also had some interesting things to say about the show's dynamics. She said that the creators of Gunsmoke purposely didn't include a romantic plot. Between Matt Dillon and Miss Kitty, they thought that bringing romance would change the show's Western feel and might turn off some viewers. Blake made a funny comment about the old Western stereotype that heroes are more interested in their horses than in women, assuring everyone that Dillon's feelings for Kitty were much stronger than his bond with his horse. She also said that Gunsmoke was made to appeal to a wide range of viewers by using the allure of the Old West to do so. Fans of all ages, because the show focused on historical events and didn't have many romantic plots. Blake encouraged fans to imagine the romantic possibilities between Kitty and the Marshal because the show itself didn't have any clear-cut romantic scenes. Arness went on to star in the show How the West Was Won, the police drama McLean's Law, and the TV movie The Alamo, 13 Days to Glory. However, the cast from Gunsmoke got back together in 1987 when John Mantley brought back Amanda for the first of the TV movies Gunsmoke Returned to Dodge, which was written by Jim Burns. When Gunsmoke ended in 1975, it didn't have a big ending. The cancellation came as a surprise and left fans without a sense of closure, unlike modern TV shows that often plan emotional goodbyes. Gunsmoke ended with a normal episode, however its legacy lives on through reruns and the fond memories of its loyal fans.